Aliens vs. Mickey Mouse. I'd pay to see that. Pandora, the World of Avatar isn't Disney's first foray into the brain of James Cameron, or into creating creepy-looking alien animatronics. In 1979, Ridley Scott released Alien, a film that would change both the face of sci-fi and horror. The film went on to become such a success that it has received multiple sequels and spin-offs, with new films from the franchise still coming out to this day. We all know that the franchise is huge, but did you know there was once an alien-themed ride in active development at the Disney parks? In 1984, Michael Eisner became CEO of the Walt Disney Company. During his early years of CEO, he took his son Breck to the parks to see what a young teenager's reaction was like. Unfortunately, Breck was like, "Dad, this is lame." After that day, it became Eisner's priority to introduce rides for teenagers to enjoy in the Disney parks. Due to this, rides based off of huge IPs of the time, like Star Tours and Indiana Jones, were created. Due to the fact that they were released to both financial and critical acclaim, the Disney company became thirsty to create a new experience based off of a growing IP. Disney looked to Fox for this opportunity, and they did have one more IP up their sleeve, the Alien franchise. To Eisner, this was a perfect opportunity as the world created by Ridley Scott and James Cameron was ripe with theming that could be easily replicated by the Imagineers, so a ride involving the franchise begun development. Nostromo was the first draft of the ride. It was planned to be a dark ride placed in Tomorrowland at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. It would have most likely took over the space previously occupied by If You Had Wings. In the ride, kids would enter a vehicle, most likely an APC, where they would then be plunged into the dark corridors of the Nostromo ship, trying to rescue soldiers by using laser guns to kill xenomorphs. While the idea was advanced at the time, keep in mind rides like Men in Black, Alien Attack, and Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin had yet to be created, senior Imagineers were terrified of the idea. At this point in time, the senior Imagineers were people that worked side by side with Walt Disney. They understood what Tomorrowland represented in Walt's eyes.
In our modern world, everywhere we look, we see the influence science has upon our daily lives. Many of the things that seem impossible now will become realities tomorrow. Where people actually live a life they can't find anywhere else in the world. A beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away. That says we're going places. There's progress ahead.
While Alien was a franchise that took place in the future, it was certainly not the same future that Walt imagined. The dark atmosphere and fight for survival nature of the series was deemed unfitting for the land of tomorrow, and quite frankly, too scary for kids. The concept for Nostromo began to be reworked in 1998 to create Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, which still featured the laser gun idea, just with a much more kid-friendly theme. With Nostromo being cancelled, it seemed like the Alien franchise would never be included in the parks. Until 1992, when New Tomorrowland was proposed. The future that Walt Disney had dreamed about in Tomorrowland had already come by 1992, and Tomorrowland seemed to be completely outdated. Michael Eisner became desperate to renovate the land, and in that desperation, he remembered his dreams for the Alien franchise. With the combined facts that the renovation would be costly, and that there was already pre-existing infrastructure for the land, it became quickly apparent that the Alien ride would have to be a refurbishment of an outdated ride, instead of reviving their idea for Nostromo. One of the rides that desperately needed an update was Mission to Mars. This was a ride that featured a theater in the round sitting, with audiences, well, they just kind of stared at the floor for the entire ride. It was nothing spectacular, but the Imagineers and Michael Eisner had an incredible idea to easily repurpose the ride. Keep the same seating arrangement, but instead of having just a screen in the middle, build a giant tube that would encase a xenomorph. The xenomorph would then break out of the tube, the lights would fade, and the guests would tremble in fear as they would feel the xenomorph walking around them, breathing on them, and even feeling the aliens scratching them through the use of state-of-the-art seating. Once again, the Imagineers deemed this too scary, leaving the company to go back to the drawing board. Only this time with the mastermind behind the aforementioned Star Tours and Indiana Jones ride, George Lucas. He went straight to work and made something incredible. Well, actually, he just ended up making the Alien ride, but instead of using a xenomorph, he used a giant centipede creature. Cause that isn't scary. The ride was eventually titled the Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter. The ride terrified guests from 1995 to 2003, which is when it was then slightly renovated to become family-friendly through the use of Stitch as the alien. The ride is still in operation, albeit it's on its last legs as a seasonally operated attraction. Thankfully, after decades of development, the Alien franchise is somewhat represented in the Disney parks, that being through a quick cameo scene on the Great Movie Ride. This cameo features Ripley, a xenomorph, and the Nostromo. It's not the most incredible ride experience, and it certainly isn't nearly as exciting as the plans that could have been, but hey, at least it's something. The Great Movie Ride has a lot of closing rumors, so I would suggest taking a quick peek at the ride if you can before it closes. Anyways, that does it for the history of the Alien franchise in Disney. If you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe. I have a lot more entertainment insight coming soon. Please share the video if you found something new or if you want to annoy your friends. Have a magical day.